My mother, the end of the journey. Even when I am old and gray, do not forsake me, my God, till I declare your power to the next generation, your mighty acts to all who are to come. Father in heaven, we pray that you renew us and renew in us a passion for serving our elderly mothers through our children, our church, our community, and our country. Let us begin by reflecting on our mothers. Can you remember one sacrificial occasion that stands out beyond any other? Or can you remember an occasion that defined your life through your mother's instigation? For me, my mother saved me from myself. There was a time in my life that I was going down a destructive path, unknowingly so. And at that time, my mother sought a way that was very dangerous and took guts to pull me back from the brink of that edifice. On reflecting on motherhood, I think we superficially celebrate this day with the pomp and pageantry, but not with in-depth analysis. How often we say Happy Mother's Day without reflecting on how crucial our mothers have been in our lives and asking ourselves, are they happy? How can I significantly alter my mother's waning years? Sometimes it is at the end of the journey that we become acutely aware of the journey itself with the twists, turns, and diversions, and the import of life hits us at full blast. We look at pregnancy itself, the visits to the doctor, the self-care required, the development of short-term ailments, nausea, incontinence, and long-term illnesses, gestational diabetes, and high blood pressure. The hard work, the planning, the challenges for every new one conceived. Weight gain that never leaves some of us. The difference in the pigmentation of our skin, the loss of sensation in our nipples, the children who grow up but never leave physically or otherwise as we become acutely aware of the fact that the word mother means that it is a lifelong contract signed at birth and referred to and tapped into long after you have departed this world. And most importantly, the fact that somehow to date, there is no blueprint that gets it just right, simply because each singular mother's approach is different, fashioned by her personal experience and dictated by her experience or inexperience. In fact, as I look back at my mother, she used the tools she had at the different junctures of her life to navigate. Caring for my mother for the last years of her life for me was a daunting task. I ended up being her only child of 5, living in Barbados during those last years. I look back and see that my faith was tested. Compassion and patience were needed in large doses. I needed a new sense of how to create balance in my life, how to combine the needs of my family at home whilst making my mom feel my presence even when I wasn't there. Though my mom was fortunate not to be financially challenged, the needs went far beyond finances and tapped in more to create a happy environment where she felt important, worthy, loved, appreciated. The greatest task of all was for me trying to understand this changing person and helping her to understand the changes in herself. Many women have done excellently, but you surpassed them all. I had one of the best mothers possible. She was witty, had a wonderful sense of humor, was able to appreciate the generation gaps. She loved my son's locks, I couldn't stand them. She loved to dress with style and flair, a great cook and entertainer, a defender of all her children, particularly Edwin and Liz. kind, considerate of those less fortunate, humble, family oriented, and she had a deep faith in the Creator. My mom had a strong sense of who she was and what she wanted. As she aged, this did not wane. She grew up poor and was able to work herself up the ladder through hard work and a great desire to succeed. She was fiercely independent and grew accustomed to getting what she wanted. Unfortunately, she became old. Her once robust body began to dwindle. She moved from a size 24 to, at her death, a size 14. Her memory was certainly not what it used to be. The orders she gave were either purposefully ignored or ignored with best intent. She could no longer eat the foods she enjoyed. The independence of choosing what she wanted to do had to be restricted to a considerable degree. Shakespeare, in one of his plays, suggests to a considerable extent our position as we age. We know what we are, but not what we may be. And I think this is important for each of you to think about that. We know what we are, but not what we may be. We asked her to wear Pampers as it would have helped us move in her. She was determined to wear them, but not use them. As she weakened, the need for different feeding implements, particularly cups, became a necessity. The knife and fork, which she was accustomed to using, became the fork and then a spoon. Food? No, it ain't got enough seasoning. It don't have pepper, no salt. The result was she was not happy with anything, even if it came from fine dining. She fell on several occasions, and each fall she hit her head. She broke her hand. On a trip overseas, I bought her some specialized shoes, padded for comfort. Mom showed no excitement to my disappointment. She did not try them in my presence as per usual, and the next day told me she was not ready and not at the stage for that type of shoe. At this time, she was 94. Incidentally, she never wore them. Mom hid things from herself, and they remained missing for long periods of time. Of course, someone was blamed. There was always a culprit. She once gave me a bangle, and some months later told me it had been stolen. To my horror, the description fit the one I had, and I had to compile enough courage to bring back that bangle. Mom looked at me and shook her head and said, "This one, no, I didn't give you this. I will never give you a bracelet like that." It hurt terribly. Bath times took away her dignity and became battlefields. One day, in total despair and unhappy with my effort, Mom let go, holding on to the bed, and threw herself backwards. To this day, I know that there is a God, because I don't know how I managed, but I pushed her onto the bed, and she fell on the bed. Had she not, I was convinced that she would have died. She would call me at 2 and 3 in the morning to say that the nurse or household member had done some injustice, or that she needed to tell me something that could not wait till morning, and I had to come now. Mind you, I work. I would always go, but I would be sleep deprived and frustrated at the complaints or issues. Mom sometimes told stories which were far-fetched, or unfortunately, people believed them. She would threaten to vacate her home and pack her belongings. Yet with all these circumstances, she remained my mom, and until her death, knew everyone and was able to effectively communicate and still do household and personal chores. The most devastating time was when a specialist she had been attending told us that Mom had 3 weeks to live. He said that even if we had hospitalized her, she would still have approximately 3 weeks. I instead chose to take my mom home, where she was comfortable, an oxygen tank, and showered her with love, attention, and care. She survived for over 2 years. God is in control. He empowers. I know that prayers availeth much. And at this point, I just want to say to Reverend Richards, Bishop Richards, thank you. My mom saw him often. I had to learn the hard way I had to learn the hard way the effect of aging on the body and mind. Consequently, there were times I chided my mom. I became angry. I felt that she was saying and doing things for a purpose, that she was stubborn and making life unusually difficult. I felt alone. The adage, once a man and twice a child, became very evident. I started researching, sharing with others, and realized that my mother couldn't change her approach. So I had to do the changing and reorganizing to effectively help her through this very difficult season of her life. Through him who strengthens me, I was able to approach the situation differently and enjoy some very rewarding times with my mother in the evening of her life. We do not adequately plan for old age. Finance is a significant requirement, but what will be mobile, having dignity, will we recognize our children and those around us having our cognitive skills intact? Who will care for us? Will each of our children chip in and spend quality time? Or alternatively, will we see ourselves as burdens, unappreciated because of our time is expiring? Will we make tough decisions if our children's care is not what we expect? I have said, I'm going to that place up there that they're now building. I am going there because I believe that I would prefer to be ill-treated or not treated well enough by a stranger than by my own flesh and blood. And we also have to realize that sometimes our flesh and blood cannot deal with the problems that we present. And I know that I'm like my mom. Maybe we should, as families, start making early plans for our aging mothers and involve them in the decision-making process. The Bible speaks to 70, but many of us do not make this score. Very often, I would tell my mom that what was happening to her was because she was old, and I used to rub it in. I really did. And she was always sure to remind me that I wasn't going to get old. From as early as age 50, our bodies begin to show the weight of life in one way or in many forms. Planning with purpose by individuals and family members is key, not at 70, but long before. I watched a movie entitled The Father after my mom's passing that would have equipped me more in understanding and dealing with some of the issues of old age. I do not understand the movie. I was so confused, right? But the father was going through a lot of what my mother was experiencing. I couldn't understand, and I still don't understand. The mind is... I look back at those last years, now just over a year later, with a sense of pride and joy that I had the awesome opportunity to assist my mother, not financially, but in a tangible and a far-reaching way. About 3 hours before my mom died, we were all around her bedside. She was intact totally. She gave a message to each family member, and there were maybe about 8 or 10 of us. Each one was to their personal circumstance. And when she looked at me, and I was the last, she said, "Pat, thank you. God bless you. God bless you." Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise at the city gate. I look back at those last years now. Sorry. That was when I was by her side. That was why I wanted to be by her side till she took her last breath. The going with my mom was harrowing and hard, but I survived. That God kept her for 97 years so that she could declare by example his mighty acts, securing the future for her generations. Looking after your mom is a ministry as unto God. Treat it that way. However hard your journey is, others are experiencing the same thing. Many times, it is not the issue, but rather our response to it. My life didn't come with a manual, but rather it came with a mother who molded me into the woman I am and whom I was able in some small way to show her the appreciation which she deserved. May you be blessed on this Mother's Day as you reflect on a new journey of planning for your future and equipping yourself to battle handling your aging mothers. Bishop, I want to suggest to you that in this church, we start an adoption for mothers, for old mothers, for ailing mothers, for aging mothers, where we can adopt. They might not need finance. They might just need somebody to come in and read to them once a month or whatever, or come in and do something for them, or a call on the phone. Hi, how are you? Because old people get very, very lonely. And it was this church that kept my mother alive. Many members of this church, the Braffits, I can call names, Auntie Lucy and her daughter. So many people called Mommy, wished her well, checked on her. So she didn't have a lot of time. She was lonely, but still there was always somebody checking and reaching out. Please let us reach out to the elderly population of our congregation. This is our church. God bless you all.